Let me say what happened to George Floyd was despicable. It was heartbreaking. I watched that video and we saw police brutality. I'm glad the Department of Justice has opened a civil rights investigation, and I'm glad to see the prosecutors moving forward. They as I understand it, have charged the police officer with homicide. Having watched that video for 8 minutes, that officer keeps his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck. Mr. Floyd is gasping for air, is saying he can't breathe, is begging, is obviously in severe medical distress, and it is wrong for any police officer to carry out brutality like that. And so I'm very glad to see the Department of Justice step in and the prosecutors step in. Secondly, after Mr. Floyd's horrific death, the violence we have seen in Minnesota has been heartbreaking. And I understand the community is hurting, but damaging, destroying stores and causing violence in the community is not helping solve the problem. And I'm hopeful that the rioting and looting will stop and the community can begin to heal instead of fanning the flames of violence. And any time there is an incident with an officer-involved shooting, often the political world, often the media world, immediately jumps to the conclusion that the police officer is to blame. And I think we've seen a lot of demonization of police officers that's unjustified. In many instances, what is initially made public is not the whole story. And I believe the system of justice should operate. And so in these cases, I think they should be decided based on the fact, after the fact. I don't think you should start with the assumption that the officer is always in the wrong. Look, in many instances, police officers are defending themselves and fear for their lives. In this instance, having seen what happened to George Floyd, we can watch that video. And Mr. Floyd was in handcuffs. He was incapacitated. He clearly didn't present any sort of physical danger to anyone. And at that point, there is no reasonable, there is no justifiable law enforcement purpose for keeping your knee on someone's neck for 8 minutes after they've been handcuffed, after they've been incapacitated. That crossed the line on its face from reasonably protecting the officers and protecting others. It crossed the line into abuse, and ultimately it cost Mr. Floyd his life.